I think we're online now.
Hasn't started for me, but I think there's a little delay.
There is a little delay. Let me just see. YouTube claims to be receiving a signal of some sort. Yep, it
It's
looks
working.
live.
We're live.
There we go. It wasn't sending out the signal there for a bit. Very weird. I am trying to do the stream to Rumble thing as well. I don't know if that works. I guess we'll wait and see on that.
Are we on Rumble?
Well, trying to be. I'm not entirely sure it has succeeded.
Let me know how many viewers we have on Rumble. I'm interested in going there as well.
I think I'm going to have to just... I'm going to probably switch over to Restream, because that was recommended by Kibbs, and apparently that works a lot better, because right now I'm trying to use the inbuilt multi-stream system in Streamlabs, and it's not very good, honestly. Which is kind of the problem, because this is the premium product. This is the one you're paying a monthly fee for, and it appears to be, well, worse than the free alternative, so, yeah.
Well, I hope it works, because there are people who made it successful, so hopefully there's a way.
I mean, there probably is. It's just the weird little back-end thingies. Yeah, it's definitely not working on Rumble. Well, okay. Well, so much for Rumble, then. And there is no way to unstream to one place and restream to the other, of course. Because, naturally. Well,
I guess, go on.
We won't waste time on fixing that now, and we'll move directly on to the first topic, which is the fact that this is a very unusual Pride Month this time around, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm missing the rainbow on the Twitter. The companies, they're just bland. They're missing something.
Yeah, they're remarkably normal this time around.
I feel like the Middle East has conquered us. And now the corporations are using... Yeah.
Do
you think we're in China? This is how the Chinese must feel during the Pride Month.
Because as a few people have pointed out, a lot of companies have not gone with the usual rain color this year. Coca-Cola, Spotify, perhaps most surprisingly, YouTube, Apple, no rainbow flag. Let's check another one. Let's see, Amazon, no rainbow. Amazon Watch, what is that? Is that a fan account? Yeah, that's a fan account.
I looked into video games. I looked into like many things. You will not find rainbows, no.
Let's see, Bethesda. Yeah, Bethesda UK. Black icon. No, nothing there. What about Blizzard? Surely Blizzard must have.
No.
No, Activision Blizzard. No Pride.
No.
Well.
They're not a proud company anymore, Arch.
They're not.
Ashamed of they're ashamed of the lawsuits.
Very weird indeed. Lord the Possum says hi. And Sujan says, have you tried Bolt Gun? Only Sargon has tried Exterminatus difficulty. And Lord the Possum says, Dinosaur Month. I have not tried Bolt Gun, no. I watched Kib playing it a little bit, and it looked like a boomer shooter that wasn't really doing anything new. I'm like, not that interested.
Yeah, and it looks pixelated.
Activision as well, Rockstar Games, Xbox, PlayStation, nobody's doing it. Well, no, hold on. Xbox got it. Xbox is still a gay company.
They're a progressive company.
Yep. Xbox remains gay. And racist, too, because they've got the racist flag in there, too.
Which one?
The one with the black and brown stripes, etc.
I never understood that flag, though.
It's the ever-widening of the progressive stack.
It's the Marxism eating away at the LGBT ideology.
Yep. It literally is. It's eating away the flag, taking up more space year by year.
Like, it's got the triangle and stuff. Like, every year it's just becoming wider and wider, and the original rainbow is just going away.
And this, of course, has had some people a little bit frightened and upset. I was like, oh, the rainbow capitalism is really awful, but now that they're not doing it, well, isn't that just frightening? Ooh, terrifying.
Well, it's interesting because there was this account. Apparently, they even have a word for it. It's called pinkwashing. And pinkwashing is when corporations don't really care about the LGBT issues, but they try their best in order to pander. And there were a lot of like progressive accounts that were complaining about it. And now that it's being taken away, they're like complaining that it's being taken away, like literally the same people. And it's like, okay, so what you want is to be pandered to and scream at the people pandering you to.
Oh, of course.
Does that make any sense?
It's the good old-fashioned progressive thing of never being happy with absolutely anything. Everything has to be wrong. Everything.
I think, if I want to play devil's advocate, it's maybe due to the fact that it's not like companies deciding to stop doing this. It's because they're afraid.
Probably, because there was another thing as well that happened. I don't know if you saw this, but for a brief period of time there, the U.S. Navy put up pride flags and everything.
Oh, fuck. We're going to war, aren't we?
Maybe.
Like if the Navy removes the pride flag, there can be only one thing.
Come on, gays, enlist now. You must die. But that too, that disappeared. In fact, it took less than a day for it to be wiped off the US Navy's page, which now looks normal again. And to be fair, this is a good thing because, yes, the armed forces should not go, we subscribe to this political ideology.
I do believe that they don't know their targeted demographic. Most people who enlist are usually very conservative. I mean, like, you have a person that, like, their father served, their grandfather served, so they serve as well, right? So they lean more to the right.
Mm-hmm. They did put out a statement going like, oh, we're totally with you, homosexuals. Like, we value and see you, etc. But we are going to remove it from our profile because, that just catches a lot of flack, frankly.
Yeah, it's almost like... So what's interesting is that you get to see that all these corporations, they act in unison.
Yes.
It's almost like their investors tell them what to do. But secondly... it's fascinating that they all decided to tone it down. It's almost like they got the memo. You need to dial this down a little bit now.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can still do it. Just put a little bit on the dial, and like 5 centimeters to the left.
Now, Bob there in the Superchats also says, isn't one of the limitations of verified accounts that you can't change profile pictures without losing the mark? Yes, but that doesn't count for the upper stratas, because the little gold icon next to the big boy companies, they pay like $1,000 a month for that. Like, that's the company mark of honor and standard, etc. So they can change their profile stuff without being de-verified as quickly. Or I don't know if there's like a special agreement or something, because you can see Xbox has changed their profile picture, whilst everyone else hasn't. And the US Navy changed theirs twice, and they've still got their little grey, like this is a public organization thing. So there is clearly some sort of, agreement going on there.
Yeah, but that makes sense. I mean, if you're going to pay that much, you're not probably going to impersonate someone. Like, anyone that pays $1,000 to impersonate someone else probably deserves to impersonate them.
Probably, yes. And, of course, the reason why this is happening isn't because they've suddenly gone like, oh, the gays are bad. It's because of the enormous currently ongoing backlash. So part of it is, as we've talked about several times, the Bud Light Dylan Mulvaney backlash, which has reached the staggering height now of an estimated $27 billion lost to the parent company, Anheuser-Busch.
Is this in sales or just like in stock?
This is in stock value, because the other day their stock was actually downgraded.
Oof.
Which is a big deal. So basically, in case you're wondering, because Elon even had a little mention of this as well, there are ratings on stocks, which are basically like quality assurances marks. Is when you go to the butcher and you see like, oh, this is high quality meat. It's kind of like that. But of course, in the tradable market, which is a very nervous market, the moment your stock gets downgraded, that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because people see that and go, "Ooh, something's up. Sell, sell, sell."
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Because of course, Target too got big. Because if this was just Bud Light, okay? If they were the only ones being targeted by a fairly successful, very successful, frankly, boycott campaign, then the other companies might be like, it might be an aberration, it might be an abnormality, but now that Target immediately thereafter gets hit with the exact same stick, like the marketing department is slow, but they can recognize a pattern.
Apparently, Target had an even worse fall than Bud Light.
Yes, because Target had its stocks downgraded, as mentioned, and I have some insight from somebody who works there and has access to their sales back end. From what I've been told, pinch of salt and all of that, they are losing at least somewhere between 5 to 10% sales on average day by day now. And that doesn't sound like that much. 5%, 10% down, that's billions of dollars for a company the size of Target. That is huge.
Yeah, basically you'd have to downsize your entire franchise by 5 to 10% if this keeps up.
Yeah, to stay profitable. 10% of Target out the window. It's enormous.
Yes. And it's interesting because Target is a massive corporation. It's even more important than Bud Light because Bud Light had a parent company, but this is Target.
Yeah, this is Target. It's also it's also because it's Target. It's a staple building. Everyone knows what this is. Everyone knows who they are, and yet they are not immune to this.
Well, it's okay, so some things are easy to boycott than others, right? When you talk about movies or video games, many people still have the nostalgia and they will be like, "Oh, well, Blizzard is a bad company, but I will play the deluxe edition to be able to play Diablo 4 6 days earlier." Who does that? Seriously, who does? And anyway, right?
I do
that. With Target, most people just go there to shop as a kind of a thing, you do the grocery shopping and you go to the same place over and over again because that's routine. So the moment a person changes the routine and just goes to a different store, they don't lose anything. They don't have to go back to Target ever.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many stores around. It's not like, with Diablo 4, if you don't play it, then you feel like you're missing out because it's a game in the franchise that you grew up with, so at least you want to know what's going on. But with Target, there's nothing. There's no emotional attachment to it. You can just go to a different store and you get the same shit.
It is, but it's also the inconvenience. People don't like to be inconvenienced. If you've always shopped at this shop, it actually takes a fair bit to drag you away from it. But we have now arrived at the point where people are willing to actively inconvenience themselves to screw over a company. That is the point at which a company is really starting to get fucked.
I mean, to be honest, I did see that video, which you probably noticed as well with Bud Light, where there was a huge queue for some other type of beer.
Yep.
But for Bud Light, there was no one. And literally no one was standing there in order to get their Bud Light. People would stand in a queue. Just
we watched that 1 or 2 ArchCasts ago, and that's exactly what I mean, right? People are now willing to actively inconvenience themselves. They are willing to stand in a queue to wait for their beer at a stall 5 feet away from the other one.
Yeah. Literally. They do not take the free beer either.
See,
if it's free, it's shocking. If it's free, and you just take it, you're not giving the company any money, but people just flat out refuse.
Yep. Sandoom says, any thoughts on the Speed Freaks Orc game? There is an alpha version for people to play. Also, thank you for the lovely Judge Dredd videos as of late. You're very welcome. I haven't played it yet. I was kind of excited. Then, again, I saw Kib playing it for a bit, and I was like, this looks not like a racing game at all. This looks like a poor arcade game. I'll look into it, but apparently it has no music, and it doesn't have particularly interesting gameplay, but hopefully.
But do you have time to play it? I mean, considering that you're focused on Diablo 4 now, before its release, do you have time for any more games?
Diablo 4 paid itself back multiple times over, and that is my only concern now when it comes to games like that. Because I already knew it was probably going to be meh at best. Because playing the beta, I was like, okay, this offers nothing new, really. And I was like, okay, maybe it changes, maybe the story, starts picking up pace or something in the full game. Maybe there are, like, different zones or something like that. No, the map, that is all there is. That's all there. There doesn't seem to be anything else. The story is not particularly interesting. The world's not very interesting. The combat system is bare bones. I mean, you get 4 abilities, and that's it. Like, you get 4 hotkeys and your left and right mouse button.
Do you want to know something funny, though?
What?
But this is going to make you laugh, so I want you to make sure that you're sitting down, because, like, I don't want you to injure yourself. There were people on the forum that were saying that when the game comes out, it's going to have blood and gore. Because that was a beta, and the company will take the feedback from the player who played the beta.
It really kind of, like, it's got ketchup squirts, and that's what it has.
You know that Blizzard actually did take feedback regarding their Pride Month.
That's true, I suppose.
Yeah, in Overwatch, there was a map that they LGBTified, and you have, like, rainbow colors and shit. And there was a police car. And people pointed out, it's like, why is there a police car on the Pride thing? And they removed the police car. So they did listen to the player. But, like, immediately, Like, can you imagine if they would have listened to the character creator with body type A and body type B bullshit?
That'd be silly.
Yeah.
That'd be absolutely terrible, in fact.
Yeah. But with the police, immediately they removed the police car.
They might be forced to listen, though, as again, there was a further thing. This came out literally today, where they're saying that the sales, the boycott, is hurting commissions. So any remaining question as to whether or not the boycott was actually working has now, I think, been fully answered. Like, when the people who earn money off selling larger numbers of stuff, when they're saying, yeah, we're seeing a drop in profits, it seems to be confirmed, pretty much beyond any doubts.
Yes. You know what Target actually did? Like, why are people upset?
Oh,
so it's not about...
They made an LGBT section for kids.
Yeah, but it's not only that, right? Because, like, that's what I thought in the beginning. But they put it, like, right in front of the store for every kid to see. And that apparently what pissed parents off.
Yes. It's also, they received a directive from company HQ, basically, to say that you can't put it up front anymore. You've got to put it in the back, essentially. And I'll find it... here we go.
Apparently that's what pissed off the left as well. Because now the left is boycotting too.
Of course, because they back down now.
Yeah, because they're ashamed of the front.
So,
in the back.
This is it's still on their website. It's still here. And, like, some of this is just like, okay, like, there's a little, like, a logo or something on a relatively regular piece of clothing, like rainbow tutu skirt. Like, I don't really care. But then you've got stuff like the racial pride flag, etc. Okay. Racial pride flag.
They had full-blown satanic thing. Like, Satan respects pronouns.
Really?
There was a... Yeah, not kidding. Like, there is merchandise made by an actual Satanist. I'm not using it as an insult, but, like, he identifies as part of the Church of Satan.
Aha.
And... Yeah. And he had, like, these very interesting T-shirts on display. Now, of course, the media is blaming, like, Christians, but I don't think, like, the Islamic shopper appreciates seeing the satanic T-shirts in the children's aisle.
Probably not. And there's also just something deeply goddamn disturbing with seeing the love is love thing on clothing for children. Because you know exactly what that means. Like, this isn't subtle or anything.
Hold on, I found the article. I'll show it to you. Here we go.
Let's see. Target giving in to conservative pressure and pride is not a great sign. Oh, I disagree. I very much so disagree.
Oh, hold on. They changed the title because this was the original title.
The Target boycott over its Satanic Pride collection. Really now?
Okay, I found it on a different article.
Target is getting backlash that they've never gotten before. That is also entirely correct. Let me see this article here. Yep, Target partners with Satanist brand for Pride collection. Live, laugh, lesbian. So that's the one with the Satanist designer.
Yeah, there's more than one, but yeah, people don't seem to appreciate it. And there was like another thing that got boycotted, the Dodgers sports team. And I'm always curious, like, considering that so many companies are considering that all companies are supporting the LGBTs, like, why is it that these particular ones? Because the media doesn't tell you. And then you look into it, and it's because they invited the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. And I'm like, what the fuck is the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, right? And then you look into it, and they're doing a tactic that the left does all the time by being the aggressors and then pretending to be the victims. So the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence on Easter, which is the most holy day for Christians, decided to take a Jesus on a cross and then pull the Jesus away and have like some very perverted dance, like some, like naked people that just dancing around the cross and stuff. And this is very insulting for Christians. I mean, imagine if you did this with Muhammad, or if you did it with a rabbi, or something like that. And the Christians are like, well, we do not want these people to appear on the team that we're paying money to see. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, they're fine, but like not in this event, right? Because like we pay money for this event, and they're offensive. So initially, the Dodgers said that they're disinviting them, but then they changed their mind and re-invited them.
Yep. There was also the controversy about tuck-friendly children's swimwear. And tuck-friendly basically means that you're supposed to be tucking your dick in to look more feminine.
Corporations have a responsibility in this. I am curious though, because like the S from ESG stands for PR, basically. And I'm curious if they're going to lose some of that S for PR points, because it would be hilarious if they don't, considering that the massive boycott they endured is 100% because of PR reasons. Mm-hmm. By the way, apparently the stream dropped.
Is it back again now? It seems to be back again now.
It seems to be back, yes.
All right, well, that is probably YouTube in that case, because I'm not doing anything on my end that I can notice. Yep, that is probably YouTube in that case. Yeah, I saw, according to the analytics, there was a sudden drop in viewers there. Like 200 people drop, so I think YouTube just disconnected a bunch of people for reasons. We're probably getting a little bit too close to the truth.
It's quite possible.
And I like this from the Vox article. Companies are getting backlash that they've never gotten before. That is so goddamn true.
Well, no, actually, they got it from the left.
Well, that's true. They were getting this from the left.
Yeah, but the thing with the left is that they would go to like someone that has power over them, like a bank, the media, the parent company. But this is entirely grassroots. Like no one is preventing Target from supplying or doing business or anything like that. It's just like people choose not to go there.
Mm-hmm. There's also the right is now on the hunt for more targets. The right, kind of, yes, they are kind of correct, but it's not the right. It is the normal people who have finally gotten so sick up with this, because the right, quote unquote, has no more, direct political power than the left, quote unquote. It is how they affect the larger majority of people and how they are perceived to affect people that give them institutional power. It's like, these queer tarot cards seem neat, says the article. Like, queer tarot cards. You're already setting yourself up to piss off people, aren't you?
I mean, this reminds me during the Bush era, there was a different culture. But like, if you had a $5 mug and you put an American flag on it or a hawk, all of a sudden it costs $10. It's literally the grift that these corporations are doing. You know, you have tarot cards, and now they're queer tarot cards, and you're going to charge extra for them.
Yep.
It's such a fucking grift.
God, is the... Yeah, the stream is acting completely wonky now.
You mean my great take was not going air?
Let me see. Let me just check if it's actually... it says...
Cards that you're going to charge
Yep.
Extra for them.
It is...
It's such a fucking grift.
Yeah, I have no idea. I think it's YouTube. YouTube is actually dropping the stream on occasion and kicking out viewers.
Yeah, you had from 600, you went all the way to 3.
Yep. Yep, YouTube does not like what we're saying here today. They are not fond of this at all. Well, that is the danger of Pride Month, of course. You gotta be careful what you say on Pride Month.
Yeah, it's usually the month where a lot of channels get taken down.
Yep. YouTube is objecting so much that... Well, we could talk a little bit about that too. They announced recently that they were removing the restrictions on the 2020 election. You were allowed to talk about that now, supposedly.
I actually know why they did it.
Why?
It's because the mainstream media, which is streaming on YouTube, is eventually going to have to host the candidates that are going to talk about it, and they don't want to copyright. They don't want to community guideline strike CNN. Unironically, like, this is the reason.
I would agree, but slightly differently. I do think they are using this to open the door for their people to talk about it as much as they want. It is also so that they can't have this thrown in their face during the current election, because honestly, one of the right wing's best arguments was, like, to a normie goes, like, why do you think the election was stolen? And you go, because you're not allowed to talk about it. Any normie will understand that.
Yeah, but this is still an argument, right? Like, you can still say it, like, for 3 years, social media didn't allow to talk about it. Like, it's still a talking point for the conservatives.
Mm-hmm. Also, yes, do try to refresh the stream if you are not seeing it or it's loading. It is YouTube being YouTube. And it's also because it allows them to go into the election now, and they have opened the window to introduce the policy again if the Republican wins, and not if the Republican loses. Like, if the Democrats wins, the policy will not be coming back. It'll be like, no, you, that's fine. You don't, oh god, other way around. I'm getting confused now, because I'm thinking what could possibly be screwing with the stream. But yes, if the Republicans lose, then everything is fine in the world, and you cannot criticize the election. You can't. But if the correct people lose, if the Democrats lose, then you must be able to criticize the election, because clearly, something wrong happened.
I mean, criticizing the elections is an American past tradition. It happened since Bush. It happened even during the Obama. It happened with Trump and Hillary. Right, like every election gets criticized. I don't think that they will set it up again so you can't, though. I would be very surprised. I mean, they're not going to play around with it, like, oh, you can't now, but you can now, but you can't. You know, like, I think you will be able to, but as you pointed out in your video, you can't really talk about the ways. So, like, for example, if you're a person that would say it's stolen, like, you can't talk about how. Mm-hmm. Right? It's very interesting.
Yeah, because all of the other misinformation policy regulations are still in place. So voting by mail is still sacrosanct. You can't talk about the voting machines. You can't say anything that might discourage someone to vote by trying to do a theory on how something could be fixed, etc. So, yeah, you can say that it's been stolen, but you can't say how. Like, it's actually genius, because then you will actually have the right-wing crackpots sound like right-wing crackpots. It's like, oh, the election was stolen. How? Can't tell you.
By the way, gave you another link.
See? Satanist designer says Target set dangerous precedent by pulling products. I mean, yeah. See, the thing is, oh wow, yeah, that looks like a person as well.
But the thing is, when they say dangerous, it means problematic.
Yes.
Right? Like that is the translation of the word.
Oh, absolutely. Because this is a dangerous precedent for them. This is the clearest indication they have seen so far that their power is waning. They don't have the ability to force corporations to do whatever they want anymore. Because as much as they might whine about it, like, like look at these companies, they're pinko posting, they're rainbow washing. The moment it stops, they go like, I am terrified. Maybe you should be.
Well, here's the reason why you can tell that the left has very few numbers. I mean, the far left, not like the moderates. The movie that Matt Walsh released a couple of days ago on Twitter, What is a Woman, right?
Yep.
Censored to high heaven. The people that he was talking to, that he was interviewing, like didn't want to talk with him. And this shows that the reason they need so much censorship, the reason they need to be protected with their opinions is because they do not hold. Like if tomorrow all the censorship was lifted, the entire far left ideology, like the woke ideology, would be gone in a day. Like it cannot stand up to scrutiny. It cannot be criticized. People laugh at it. So that's the reason why they need to protect their things. And when they see that the protection is over and like corporations are starting to pull back products, it's like, oh, that's very problematic.
It
like,
is.
I don't know if you follow the story, but at Twitter, one of the people at the head of the trust and safety team quit because of Matt Walsh's video. That was like 2 days ago. Like that person was willing to risk his job just to prevent that movie from being seen by people.
Yes. So the let me see here. There was a whole lot of back and forth on that whole thing. Let's see here.
Did you see the movie, by the way?
I haven't seen it yet. I have time to see nothing.
It's literally Matt Walsh. Like I will describe it for people. It's literally Matt Walsh going at experts like gender studies, doctors, like important influential people, and he's literally just asking them questions. Like he's not editorializing. He's not putting words in their mouth. It's like, okay, but like, what is a woman?
Mm-hmm.
And they can't answer or don't want to answer, right? Like it's, and then he actually goes to Africa to a couple of people in a tribe and asks them what is a woman. All of them know. No exception. Like literally every single one of them knows what a woman is.
Because there was a lot of nonsense around this. Because first, there was announced that they would be streaming it. And then it appeared that YouTube was shutting it down. Like, oh, we're not going to promote this, etc. And then Elon himself actually tweeted it out. Every parent should watch this. So clearly, there was a bit of an internal power struggle inside of Twitter on this movie. And we're not sure who won, but 2 people did leave the company.
Because the movie is out there, so Elon won. Oh, it's not just that Elon tweeted it out. He pinned it.
Mm-hmm. And the video is currently sitting at 137.7 million views.
It's a lot of views.
That is absurd. That is a third of the population of the United States.
Yes.
In like a day.
There is a scene in the movie where they go to a women's studies professor. I will post a picture. Kind of looks like you a little bit, I would say. Let me hold on.
It's a bit cruel, but okay.
He goes to the women's studies professor and asks him, like, what is a woman? And the women's study professor goes, but why do you want to know that?
Now, why do you want to know that? That's a weird question.
It's like going to an engineering professor and you're asking him, like, what is engineering? And it's like, why do you want to know that?
Mm-hmm.
And then he also says, it's like, well, I want to know the truth. And he's like, well, see, I want to stop the interview because I don't like where this is going. Like, if you say things like the truth, that's very offensive. That's very disrespectful.
Yeah.
And this is a university professor. Like, people pay probably like 40 grand a year in order to get the opportunity to be educated by this guy.
Mm-hmm. And clearly, like, the majority seem to agree. Like, straight up. Unironically. I do worry, though, because, again, this was one of the latest Twitter power struggles, shall we say. And Elon got out ahead this time. But the very fact that there were still people within the company willing to openly oppose him, I think when the WEF woman gets in full power, he's going to have a hard time keeping her under control.
It is going to be interesting, yes. Do you think that the reason that we can talk about the election is due to the fact that YouTube has a new CEO now?
Possibly, but I think it's more a strategic move than anything else. Popatot says, Bosch lives. When you weren't here last week, I thought you were struck to the pits of hell. Gibbs pointed out that you were in Rumbles, and that helped leave. He's got to stick around for that period, though. That's true. Strike for being mean to Disney. Boog says they targeted kids. They can face the wall, and I don't see the Rumble stream up. Yep, Rumble screwed up too. I am probably just going to change over to the free streaming software because it's probably better. And Sandoom says, Arch speaking about a topic that YouTube doesn't like. Arch being naughty. Is your money incentivizing you to continue the topic of the day? Thank you. But yeah, this is a very clear indication of where the winds are blowing, shall we say. The corporations are not putting up the what shall we call it? The yearly offerings, shall we say?
The yearly offering.
Yep.
I mean, that they still have, like, Pride stuff. It's just that they don't do the virtue signal, I guess.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I actually saw one of the leftist people write something quite poignant on the question. They'll still show up to our arrangements with their pride-colored merchandise. They won't do it in public. Yeah. Like, that's probably unironically correct. They still want you to buy their shit because it costs nothing to paint a rainbow flag on a mug, but it costs billions to support your crazy ass in public.
Moving to something else that you'll find very interesting, because this is just what I've just read. Do you know
One
the
moment.
Punisher?
Before we move on to it, I just want to do one last thing to point out, because the super chat actually pointed that part of there. Urashima Otaru says, probably lifted the rule to go after people later. So one final thing on the whole, you can talk about the 2020 election now. Remember, YouTube's terms of service has a retroactive effect. So if he wanted to be a bit paranoid about this, they might very go, oh, you can talk about it. And then 6 months down the line, oh, I'm sorry, that violates the terms of service. Gone you are.
Yeah, but usually in things like this, I look at other bigger creators, and it's not like YouTube is going to ban like all big creators. So
not all
like
big,
if
but
Simple talks about it, if Crowder talks about it, then it's probably safe.
Yeah, but it'll just be used as all of their rules are when they want to. Yeah. So in 6 months' time, they'll revise it. Everyone that's small enough to not cause a stir will simply disappear. You will never even hear about it. And everyone who's large enough to matter, they'll just ignore.
Probably.
And no super chat. I did see your super chat. Bad super chat. I haven't tried Boltkin yet, and I'm probably not going to because it just looks like a basic bitch boomer shooter. And it's like, okay, but yeah. And American Outlier donates 10 ArchCast memberships. Thank you very much, sir. All right. The Punisher. Go ahead.
Yeah. You know the character, right?
Yes.
You know he doesn't have guns anymore, right?
Oh, they took away his guns?
They took away his guns. They took away his logo.
The skull.
The skull. Yeah. He doesn't have that anymore.
Oh, yeah, I see he's got a new skull thing now.
All right. So... it gets better. Apparently, they resurrected his wife.
Uh-huh.
Right. Now, the wife points out that when they went to a picnic, and when she got shot, she was actually going to divorce him.
Uh-huh.
Right. And then she says that because she died, she's not married with him anymore. She took half of his stuff, okay, took half of his stuff, and then took the other half and donated to charity.
Yep. Mariah's judgment is clear and irrevocable, says this article. Frank's crusade was foolish. He never pursued justice. It's not revenge. Everything he wanted was an excuse to let loose his murderous instinct. Yeah, okay, so basically, they wipe out the Punisher's entire character and just rewrite him to be a murderous, crazy person.
And the cock.
Yep.
The wife. By the way, like, imagine if the situation was reversed. I know people on the right really hate this expression, but like just this once, right? You have like this sexy waifu, right? Like big titties, like really perfect body, and her husband gets killed. So now she becomes like a sniper or something, right? And it tries to take revenge. But then like someone resurrects her husband, and the husband goes like, "Bitch, I never loved you. I was gonna divorce you. Shit.
Everything you've done in my name was garbage.
Taking away your shit. And I'm taking away the other shit too, because I'm greedy." How would the viewers think, though?
But again, that is just another character assassination, isn't it? It's just like, oh, yes, this character, I don't like him. I'm going to destroy him in every way I can. And I love this too.
Slayer.
Like, I love this final panel here, where he's just, Frank, call me Frank. Okay, so you've got a character, the Punisher, larger than life, hunting down criminals, doing what the other heroes aren't willing to do. He's dark, he's edgy, he's got weight to him. And now, he's fucking Frank.
Okay, Demon Slayer, right? You know, like the sister, the one that gets transformed into a demon and she can't really speak or whatever. Imagine if like she all of a sudden manages to speak properly and she tells her brother, it's like, "I always wanted to be a demon. This was my choice. You went on a murderous rampage, you criminal. I'm taking away your shit."
Yep. That would be the end to Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba. Just his sister berating him like, "You bastard. How dare you kill all those innocent demons?"
Yeah, like especially because some demons like do have sympathetic backstories.
Oh, all of them pretty much do. Like, that's one of the keys of the show.
Mm-hmm.
They also banished him to an alternative universe, says Urashima Otaro. Okay. So yeah, they've just completely destroyed the entire... Like, but other than who cares? Okay, Marvel wants to get rid of one of their last cool characters. Great. Fantastic. Celebrate it. Like,
the thing is, like, the Punisher isn't even edgy. Like when the Punisher came out, it was at a time where edgy shows were a thing, right? Because you had... the comics weren't allowed you to have any death. They didn't allow you to have that much violence. All the stories needed to have like a happy ending, and then you have like the Punisher, which just does everything on the opposite, right? But in 2023, like showing violence is not a problem. Like you can go all out. You're not going to get canceled for it. Like, The Walking Dead had like a episode showing how the special effects are made, and they were talking like, okay, we want to show brain on the screen, like how do we do that? And they had like buckets of blood and shit. Like, no one cares. But if you were to show a little bit of sexiness, like a titty, if you have like a big goth titty waifu that's sexist, racist, misogynistic, and transphobic, that would be edgy shit to show. But like, who's going to do that?
Yeah. It's like what I said about the boys, the season with the Stormfront chick, which they turned into a woman.
Mm-hmm.
In the comic, Stormfront is not an ironic Nazi. Stormfront's a Nazi. Like, there's no question about it. There's literally scenes where he's like hovering over the city, going like, things were better under Hitler.
Like, yeah, he's got like even the swastika like painted on his chest.
Yeah, like unironically. Because the point is that he's a bad guy. Like, that's the thing. He's a bad guy. He's the Nazi. You shouldn't like him. In the show, they turn him into a woman, and she is not a millionth as bad. Like, if you wanted to really make that show edgy, you'd have Stormfront drop an N-bomb or something. But they don't.
Yeah. But, like, look at... look at the competition, right? My Hero Academia. You have Endeavor, which is a wife beater, like an abusive father, right? There's no fucking way you'd redeem that in the West. But like My Hero Academia actually puts him through a redemption arc.
Well, it's because also they recognize that his character isn't as bad because his story is actually rather complex. It isn't just that he did this. His wife went along with it willingly as well. She was a co-participant. Like his...
Did she?
Oh yeah, she did.
I thought he had an arranged marriage or something.
Yes, but she went along with it. She didn't stop him. She didn't argue against it. And she knew what was going on because they revealed in the later show that it wasn't like Endeavor was doing this just to be an asshole. In fact, many of the scenes you see where he's like being really hard on Todoroki, that was for a reason. He wasn't doing that for shits and giggles. It was because his other kid was going even crazier, and I won't spoil that, but they've actually managed to redeem and rehabilitate Endeavor a great deal, because his story is more complex than man bad.
It's also interesting that if you look at Marvel, they used to flirt with edgy characters. Like, for example, Iron Man, right? He's pro-war, he's a multi-billionaire, and on top of that, he's a weapons manufacturer and a drunk. Like, literally everything that the current culture stood against. And it's kind of like if you were to make a racist hero now, but like not like jokingly racist, but actually racist, you know? Yep. You could make a very interesting character. Like, for example, you know, let's say when he's a kid, his parents get killed by a gang or whatever, and he becomes racist. But then he's a superhero, and there's like a burning building, and he has to save people, but they're minorities. So now he's conflicted, but he gets to do the right choice. Like, that would be an interesting story arc. You know, you have drama there, you have like motivation, you have a very compelling and something fresh that you don't get to see anymore. But they will never do that. You know, like they will never be like what Marvel used to be.
It's because back then it was about the story. Like Iron Man being a drunk, that was a huge deal at the time. Like, that was massive. Yes. He's a flawed superhero. That was incredibly controversial, and it made him into a more human character.
Yeah. Again, Endeavor. And Endeavor is not just one example. There's many Japanese characters that are like that. Orochimaru, I would say, but like it's kind of weird. Like he doesn't really have a redemption arc. Like, it's kind of forcefully written to be like that, you know.
American Outlier says hail art in chat. Sandoom says, so it's Punisher's turn, like Spider-Man. Oh, you mean that black kid, Miles Morales?
Oh, yeah. No, apparently the writers for Spider-Man 2 said that they didn't want Spider-Man to be pro-cop.
Oh, that too. Why not?
Which doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, the writers of Batman could do it because, like, the police in Gotham was corrupt except for Jim Gordon and a couple of other cops. Like, that's why there's crime. But in the Spider-Man universe, there's crime because, like, there's too many bad guys and the police can't stop them.
Not to mention he's a hero. Like, who does he hand the bad guys over to exactly?
Well, that's a joke that people said when the cop car was removed from Overwatch, because Overwatch is actually a glorified police force.
Yes. Like, they're a superpowered police force.
Yes.
Specifically created to crush a certain minority, the robots.
Yeah. So it doesn't make sense. Like, this is when they abandon their lore just to push politics, and this is what people say. It's like, get politics out of the entertainment.
Yep. Tag the Mage says, you didn't save my life, you ruined my death. American Outlier, in a Marvel comic book series, the Punisher pulled a Batman and was able to kill about 90% of the Marvel characters, but now they neutered him. Yes, they did. Sandoom says, just redeem White Dragon from the Peacemaker show. See, again, okay, this is what annoys me, right? Did you watch the Peacemaker show?
No, unfortunately, never.
Peacemaker was one of the better superhero shows recently because it had a character that wasn't necessarily much of a good guy. And he was the son of a character called White Dragon, who's an unironic white supremacist. But again, they fall short of making him an actual white supremacist. It's the same with Stormfront, where you're told, like, oh, this guy's a racist. Does he do anything racist in the show? Like, he intimidates a black person at one point? Like, that's about it? Like,
I think like they do a couple of racist things. Like they go into the house of some black people and they just kill them because they're black. But it's kind of implied. Like she doesn't say anything racist about it.
I think Stormfront
Um,
also kills like a black family, and it's indicated that she does it because they're black. But again, it would be unironically like it would be the hottest like PR clip of the last decade if a character from The Boys just beat the shit out of A-Train while shouting N-word, N-word, N-word. Like, it would go viral like mad. Everyone would have seen it. It would have been a tremendous commercial success, probably.
Do you know what's interesting though? They used to do that. Like in Hollywood, they had many movies where they said the N word.
Mm-hmm.
But like for some reason they don't anymore. But it was said in context, right? Like usually the villain would say it, or like you weren't supposed to like the character.
Well, of course,
Eddie
that's because
Murphy
they're the
would say it,
villain.
but like, yeah, it was either the villain or like two black people talking to each other. Like Eddie Murphy would say the N word a lot of times.
Because that's the thing. We can't make bad guys anymore. Like, seriously, we have completely lost the ability. And part of it is because we don't understand pacing. We can't build up the bad guys no more. And so we just get a succession of useless, soft as shit villains that can never threaten the characters. Like, back in the day, the villains were awful. Like, they'd killed somebody's entire family or something, you know? Something awful had happened. Now, look at Star Wars, for example. The Gustavo Fring's character in The Mandalorian. What did he ever actually do? Like, he's, I'm like an Imperial dude. Like, okay, what have you done? Like, I've like built a base on the Mandalorian home planet. Oh, cool, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, Darth Vader, right? Like he tortures people, like in the beginning. But I'm trying to think like really nasty villains from
Well,
previous
think about
movies.
it. Darth
like,
Vader, when he's introduced to you, first and foremost, he kills like a bunch of people. He cuts his way through an entire fucking little guard battalion. He kills Luke's teacher in front of him, and he's
that's true.
constantly shot as a badass. Everyone knows him. Everyone is scared shitless of him.
That's true. Yeah. I'm thinking like, who would you say is like a really good villain from the past? Oh, the Terminator.
The Terminator's
Like,
another good one, yeah.
movie. Yeah, from the first movie. Like he, you know, I think it's the over reliance on special effects as well that makes things bad. Because like the Terminator in the first movie doesn't really have special effects. It's just like a walking tank. Like you just can't stop him. You know, nothing you do slows him down. He's just coming towards you.
Yep.
Slowly, but once he gets there, like you're dead.
And he's dangerous because the main character's just a child.
Yeah, and when you compare this to like the last Terminator movie, there's like so many fight scenes, and they keep beating up the T-1000 whenever he's on screen. Like he gets beaten up, and it takes away from like the gravitas of the villain.
Yeah, because he's not dangerous anymore. Like you can even go back to the old school characters, right? The like the Joker. The Joker's goddamn dangerous because he has demonstrated time and time again an ability to kill God only knows how many thousands of people.
Yeah.
Like, he's dangerous because he's literally dangerous. Like a Hannibal Lecter. He's a goddamn cannibal, you know? Hell, we can even go to the Harry Potters. Like, Voldemort is built up over, like, what, 4 books before you even see him?
Yeah. And honestly, like, sometimes not seeing the villain is a lot more powerful than seeing him.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
like
compare this to, again, Stormfront from The Boys. Like, they actually start trying to make her likable. It's like, oh, she's a right-wing meme lord, making some of the weakest memes in history because the left literally
did you know who was? Did you know who was a really good villain in a TV show? I think it's like Sylar from Heroes, the one that cut open people's heads and shit.
Yes, he was pretty good.
Yeah. But, like, the reason he was good is because, like, first of all, he actually, like, tortured people, you know, like, cutting open their heads. And he was... I guess, like, they were trying to also suggest that there was something sexual about him doing that. Like, at one point, he's salivating when he's cutting off the chick's head, the one that can regenerate.
And he's clearly dangerous, too. Like, nobody isn't afraid of him, because he's got assloads of superpowers, and he's already killed a bunch of people. He's dangerous.
Well, I think like Stormfront is dangerous as well because like she electrocutes stuff. But like when you have like all the chicks, all the girls like kicking her and stuff, like you just
Well,
remove
that's
the
the thing.
danger.
Who did she kill that mattered? Like, she killed a random family in some random building somewhere, and she has superpowers. Like that, because that's also the big difference between her and Homelander, right? Homelander, you know, is dangerous, and he's even like killed main characters, and he's threatened them, and you know that he has that. How do I put it? This.
Oh yeah, he kills Homelander kills like the acquaintance of Starlight, the one that's actually really nice, and he was on that TV show.
Yes. And it's also that whenever his actor is actually really good, because whenever he's on scene before they began emasculating him again, he feels like evil Superman in that you know how unbelievably powerful this character is, and that he could snap at any moment. That's what makes him a good villain.
Yeah, honestly, the fact that he actually got injured by the fight with Superboy, or not Superboy, Soldier Boy, and whatever, that kind of took away from the character. Because in the comic book, he just doesn't get injured.
Yes.
Like no other. He's like a superhero for superheroes.
Well, the Amazon lady actually makes him bleed, which pissed me off because it shouldn't happen. Like, I've been working out. Like, that doesn't matter. Like,
yeah, like it makes sense that Soldier Boy could have injured him. Right, like maybe even Butcher with the juiced up thing. Like maybe okay, like that drug which is temporary allows him to go toe to toe for a little bit. But the Amazon lady should not be like in the comic book. She just gets her head punched, like literally in one panel, like just dead.
Because it doesn't matter if you've been working out. This isn't a bodybuilding context. The guy's actually invulnerable.
It's like beating up Superman with Batman, and Batman goes like, "Well, I've
been benching a lot lately."
Yeah, no, but the thing is, right? Like they want their women moment, like feminist moment and shit, but they're taking away from the villain. Like he stops being scary when it shows that, yeah, all right, well, if this superhero just gets pissed off, like maybe they can beat him.
Yes, and it reduces the villain.
Yeah, and the whole thing with like him was that in the comic book, you genuinely thought he's invisible. Like there's nothing that can stop him.
Mm-hmm. Let me go through a couple more super chats and we'll move on to the next subject. Free Gollum says Commander Sam Vimes is a bigot and he's an awesome hero. Sam Vimes.
I have no idea.
Let me see.
Be right back. Just a minute.
Don't recognize him, tragically. Commander of the City Watch. Discworld. Jesus, okay. Yeah, I haven't read Discworld for like 20 years now. Might have to reread it. Fenry44 says, no, they made Peter a cuck by having MJ be a baby mama of a Marvel editor lookalike. Ah, yes, I saw that as well. Like the day after or whatever, when Spider-Man returns, and he's like hugging MJ. He's like, you've been gone for a very long time. Like, I've got a family now. Ah, all right. That is also really stupid because, literally, Mary Jane's entire romance with Peter Parker was always written as if this was the one big love, you know? She was pursuing him relentlessly, despite she being the hot girl and him being the stupid nerd. And yet he's gone for, like, what, a few years? And he's like, well, guess I'm gonna have to hook up with a neighbor. Did you see that? Mary Jane cucking Peter Parker.
I heard about it.
Yep. That was... And it's also just... Never mind the fact that this doesn't work with the character, right? MJ is clearly madly in love with Peter. He's clearly loving her. Them just wandering off and getting another family doesn't make sense. But from a story perspective, here you have one of the core features of Peter Parker's Spider-Man story, right? The fact MJ, the girl next door, the hot chick that the loser guy can totally get, etc. It is cliched at this point, but it's always been there. The fact that you remove that, it is the same as taking away Peter's ability to climb walls, basically.
I mean, they did take away ability to shoot webs and a couple of things, but I get what you mean. It's I genuinely like. So if you look at Marvel, they do not sell more than 10 issues before they have to restart the thing. I do not know who their target audience is. I do not understand who still buys the comics. I do not know who these comics are for, and I genuinely do not understand why they don't hire good writers. Like they are purposefully tanking the business. I don't know what's happening at the writing team, and why do they think that it? Because like if you Arch, let's say you do a franchise, right, and maybe you have like a video game or something, and you hire some people to produce work, and you notice that they constantly just produce bad stuff. Like at one point you'd say, okay, well maybe I need to hire someone else.
Well, it's because they probably don't understand. So, when Mary Jane has goddamn kids here, and the kids appear to be basically those of a Marvel writer self-insert, you know why? Like, it's not weird. It's because he read this like, but I want this. And so he decided to abuse his power to stroke his own, well, selfish ego rather than make a good story.
The Marvel superheroes are the VTuber avatars of the writers now.
Hmm?
Literally that. And it's funny when they go, it's like, oh, look, Red Skull is saying bad things about Jordan Peterson. And it's like, well, no, it's the writer saying bad things about Jordan Peterson because I'm not a fucking child. I know that the character is fiction and is being written by a human. So the fuck are you talking about?
Not to mention that famous Red Skull speech where he talks about community and religion all being destroyed in the name of tolerance. I'm sorry, but Red Skull is goddamn right.
Yeah. You know, like they actually need to say that he wants to blow up trains and shit for people to realize that he's a bad person. Because otherwise, it's like what he's saying is not that bad. It's like just mainstream conservative talking points.
Yeah, the problem is, this is actually how Red Skull should be and always has been. Like, for a villain to be good, he needs to have a motif that makes sense. Like, an excellent different speech where he's talking to Magneto is basically saying, we're not all that different. Like, you want mutants to survive, I want my race to survive. Like, we both view our race as the superior race. Like, what the hell are you objecting to? Because a good villain will turn your morality against you and then go like, now what? Like, and then you have to wrestle with that. Like, okay, what he's saying is true, but I do have other reasons.
So you like the Naruto talk no jutsu?
I don't even know. I don't watch Naruto. What the hell's wrong with you?
Talk no jutsu, where the villain goes, it's like, but your ideology has flaws, Naruto. No, sorry. The villain has an ideology, and Naruto goes like, but your ideology has flaws in it. Have you considered such and such? And the villain goes like, God damn it.
Well, unironically, kind of yes.
I know.
There we go.
You got the villain Pain, and he's like, only pain can make us feel whole. And Naruto is like, yes, but I experience pain, and I am different than you. Like, we both had the same mentor, and we both experience hardship, but my path is the way of the ninja. And then Pain goes, is it? Then prove it. And they have a battle, and then it's like, oh, god damn it, I lost. But you know what? I will revive everyone, because you're right, your way of the ninja works, Naruto. Is that what you want?
No, I think we should cuckold Naruto a lot.
Get his wife to actually watch him while she has sex.
Jürgen Zuppel's very first super chat, thank you very much, sir, says, hello, Arch. I follow you since the Why Is That a Melee in 40k. I'm Feynman, and I see so much human tragedy. You keep me sane. Thank you. Greetings from Poland. V, you are a funny guy, but your voice is horrible. It's cruel.
I know, I understand the criticism. It's like, what can I do?
Thank you very much, sir. All the way since the Why Is There a Melee in 40k. Jeez, that is an old video. American Outlier says, the last time I remember they used edginess was in the AMC TV series Hell on Wheels, and they used the N-word, but the setting was during the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad. Yep. Sujant says, back in the day, Captain America defended a neo-Nazi rally against Jews for their free speech. The comic was written by Jews too. He also spared a clone of Hitler because he didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, like, see, that's what I like. Like, if Captain America goes like, no, free speech is an actual value, and I'm going to defend it by defending the worst people, that has weight and value. Whereas now, he'll just turn to the camera and go like, vote Democrat. Like,
I love the fact that he spared the clone of Hitler because he didn't do anything wrong yet. But actually, there is a story. I think it's like Marvel Civil War 3 or some shit, where they have like a mutant that can see the future. And they see, this misogynist, which is upset about the fact that he's an incel and sets fire to the school. So, like, the superheroes break into his house, and this is before he commits the act. He doesn't know, like, why he's being arrested. His parents don't know why they're being arrested. And they're taking him to, like, this super maximum security prison where there's, like, female guards and shit. And I'm like, you do realize that you're being the terrorist now. Like, you're breaking into someone's home, arresting them for a crime they did not commit? That's illegal. Mm-hmm. And this is in Miss Marvel.
Yep, I remember that one.
And apparently, the morality of the story is that... So she's not conflicted over the fact that she's arresting people that didn't commit a crime. No, she's conflicted over the fact that the guy was her friend. And the morality is like social justice trumps friendship. Like, if even your friends commit some egregious sin, then you need to treat them no differently.
Matthew Ramlo says, have you ever thought of an Omni-Man versus Homelander fight? I think that would be cool. I saw a video on YouTube where they had Omni-Man destroy Homelander. Probably, because Omni-Man doesn't really have a power level. Like Homelander isn't actually a Superman clone. Homelander is a way less powerful Superman clone, because all Homelander has is superpowers, like super speed, heat light, heat vision, etc. Superman, that's not the core of his power. His power is literally a reality-bending field of bullshit magic.
Omni-Man would beat him in one panel. I mean, think about it. Like Omni-Man is from a race of Superman, and he had to beat up mountains of other people in order to be where he is. So he is like an experienced fighter. Meanwhile, Homelander never actually had to fight.
Yes, Homelander doesn't really fight people. He just overpowers them.
He just uses his eye beam because he's so bored he doesn't even want to go there and punch you. So yeah, I'll let like the only thing would be, it's like, how powerful are his eye beams? Like, can his eye beams actually burn off Omni-Man? Like, if that's the case, then maybe he has a chance. Otherwise, it's like a one panel fight.
Yes, a slightly fairer one might be Omni-Man versus the Plutonian. The Plutonian was a hero from from none of the big ones. He was, I believe, the first evil Superman. I'm not sure about that, but I'm pretty sure... I'm trying to figure out when that was released, but I think Omni-Man is a bit of a knockoff of the Plutonian. I'm trying to figure out when he was released. I don't remember now. I think he might have been the first evil Superman, because basically, he just cracked under the pressure of having everyone rely on him, and he just hardcore snapped. And then he dug himself deeper, because as he snapped, he realized, okay, well, there's no way back now, and so I might as well just embrace it. There's even a point in which he has a dream of going back in time, showing that he has remorse for what is happening to him, but he is now such a bad person that he can't even forgive himself. It's kind of the, it is the trap that the left has trapped itself in. When they find themselves defending maps and going like, yeah, maybe we should have, like, map clothing on children's paraphernalia Target. When you realize what you're defending, you're kind of in a position where, like, okay, either I admit I am the worst person ever, or I double down.
It's also interesting. It's not just that, but it's you either want children drag queen story hour or you're not a leftist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, exactly. That is the stance that they're going with, right? Like you can be for open borders, for like literally everything that the left stands for, like socialism. You can be a hardcore communist, but if you don't think that drag kid story hour is paramount, then you're not a leftist.
Yes. If Marx himself came back today, he would be denounced as a far-right reactionary.
Just like Marx said so many things that would make him far-right. Like, for example, did you know that he's pro-gun?
Yes, but only temporarily, because he wanted to arm the workers to rise up for the revolution, and then he wanted to take them away again, because then they might rise up against his revolution.
Do you know that he's anti-Semitic?
Oh, very. Like his book, the Jealous God of Israel, is money.
Yes, that's what he wrote. Like, honestly, no, unironically, like, Karl Marx would be considered far right.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. American Outlier says, STG2 Cell, how did you get so strong? Vegeta. I trained all day yesterday. Cell, you think you're cute. Vegeta. Bitch, I'm adorable. True.
But it's still, like, she trained. And the thing is, like, the fans actually believe that. Yeah, the fans actually believe that.
Well, the fans of the boys are a very weird bunch.
To be honest, like, it does make some sense, because why the fuck is she training?
Well, it was because she was very angry with Homelander. That is literally the story plot given.
So, like, she's training in order to relieve frustration.
Because he threatened her girlfriend or something, because obviously she's lesbian, because, it's the current year.
Yeah, in the comic book, I don't think she was.
No, but to be fair, the comic book is bad.
It is.
It's really bad. I've read it. It's not good.
Like, it's one of the rare instances where the actual show is better than the comic.
Yep.
The thing in the comic is that they're not without powers. Like, they just take the drug and they have powers. And then they can just beat up superheroes. And it's like, well, what's the fun in that?
Yes. I actually kind of dislike the fact that they introduced the dog in the TV show, but they're kind of moving away from it, which is good. Because, again, if Homelander is just the dude, it doesn't make him very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Marksman of 117. Bean says, money for you instead of Kibbs. Let him starve. Good. And yes, Tag the Maid says, reminder that Chippendale was cucked by a fly. That is true. Apparently it is canon that the little mouse chick that the Rescue Rangers were both after married the fly side character instead of either one of them, which is... It's very current year, let's just put it like that.
I had no idea.
It was in the latest like movie or show or something. Like, I don't even know the story behind that, nor do I want to, frankly. It's like, oh, yes, I decided to have some insect sex. Like, oh, well, that's somebody's fetish. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
It's a bit me. Oh, God, Chippendale was good back in the day, but, like, nothing can be good anymore.
I don't really recall it, but...
I have fragmented memories of it. Like, they built weird, like, machines out of random pieces of garbage, and they were, like, inventive and stuff, which was kind of cute.
Didn't they make a remake of it?
I'm sure they did. I'm sure it's terrible.
DuckTales wasn't that bad of a remake.
I didn't watch it.
DuckTales.
Whoa. Yeah. Boog says they usually have Raikage banging MILF Hinata in the NTR Dojins. Google the artist Metal Owl. Okay. Alright, Metal Owl only gives me actual metal owls, like ornaments, so... Boog also says Omni-Man is a cross between Saiyans and Kryptonians. Omni-Man.
Yeah.
Omni-Man. Ah, yes. Mustachio Man.
Yeah, that is true.
Mark99 says, Death Battle did Homelander versus Omni-Man. It wasn't even a real fight. More like Omni-Cat playing with his food. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. Homelander would not stand a chance against Omni-Man.
See, the only thing that I disagree is Superman versus Goku. I think Goku would whoop Superman's ass.
I disagree, because literally, Superman is stated to be as powerful as he needs to be to win. Like, Superman has actually limitless power.
Okay, but, like, Goku can destroy a planet, so, like, from the moon, Goku can just destroy the Airforce Superman is on.
Yeah, but Superman would still be alive.
He died in the past. Like, he fought Doomsday and he died.
Yes, but that is because writers. Like, at the end of the day, that is the answer to every question, though, because writers.
Yeah, but, like, okay, fine. But by that logic, right, if Toki Yadamada is writing, Then Goku gets beat up by Superman. He trains. He gets like the Genkai boost bullshit, and then he goes back and beats up Superman.
Yes. But that's also why I do think that the death battle format is relatively fair, because they basically go with the most powerful the character has ever been written. And that's where Superman wins every fight automatically, because the most powerful he's been written is literally without limits. Like, Goku, for all of his power, still has limits. And that's one of the things why I don't like about Superman 2, because Superman is never in danger at any point. The only reason why Superman is ever in danger is because he's holding back.
Okay, but what about Goku with Kryptonite?
He wouldn't use it.
He wouldn't use it, but like, what if he needs to use it? Like, Superman is bad and he's going to destroy the Earth.
Well, yeah, then he would win. But that's, again, it's the plot point, because that is Superman's one weakness. If you have a character that cannot be defeated, you have to create a MacGuffin.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That is also why I hate the recent Superman movies, because they try to make him interesting by making him dark or something. No, Superman shouldn't be dark. You should just make a story about Superman being the hero. He should be the most cliched and archetypical. Well, he fucking kills someone.
I had no problem with him killing General Zod, because like he didn't have access to the Phantom Zone. He didn't have anything. General Zod would still kill people. Like, that was literally the only option.
Well, that's the point. Superman finds a way. It's not like they couldn't. It is a movie that the writers made up out of hand, you know.
Sure. But like, if you take like the goody Superman and you put him in that situation, I do think he would have made the same choice.
I don't think so.
Like,
I literally think that he would have simply knocked him unconscious and then dragged him deep underground and put him in a kryptonite cell or something, or cooperated with the government.
Yeah, but they didn't have kryptonite at that point. Like, there was nothing that could hold him, basically.
Oh, they did, didn't they?
No, it came up in the second one with the Batman, right? Like, Lex Luthor brings up the kryptonite, but at that point, he didn't know kryptonite exists.
Yeah, sure. Maybe.
Yeah.
Regardless, the point is, Superman would have found a way. Fenry44 says, no matter if they are friend or family, if they do the original sin of wrongthink, then they go to gulag, according to the modern morality. That is true, yes. The amount of time I have seen people literally disavow friends and family for their political reasons lately has been disturbingly often.
Yes.
Right, before we wander away the entire time talking about superheroes, we did have other topics today as well.
Didn't we?
Let's do a brief one, because there's something that's been recently that I found rather fascinating. Have you seen the German phenomenon of Stolzmonth? Or Monat?
Stolzmonth? No. Is it Pride Month?
Yes, it means Pride Month, but it is Germans reacting to any mention of Pride Month with the German flag and national flags in general.
I have seen like a TikTok girl which was educating people on LGBT issues, and someone goes like, what sexuality flag is behind you? And she's go like, that's the German flag.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what, the Germans are proud of their flag again?
This is, I think this is an interesting movement. So basically, people, and I want to just congratulate the progressives. You have managed to reawaken German nationalism. Thank you very much. I'm sure we will not regret this in the slightest. But they basically figured, like, okay, we've got a Pride Month too, and our Pride Month is the flag, and so it's for everybody, like for the American flag, the German flag, etc. The point is to go no to Pride Month, yes to national pride, because, well, they don't really have a good argument, do they? Like, oh, why are you pride? Oh, because sexuality. Like, okay, how is that superior to nationality? How is that different?
It isn't.
They also mentioned here that Alternative for Deutschland is the third largest party in Germany now.
Well, wasn't it always the third largest party?
No, it was only created a few years ago.
Yeah, but it used to be like the third, right? And that's due to the fact that the left is spread on multiple parties, but like the right wings are concentrated into one.
Mm-hmm. I think it's rather interesting because we are looking at right now the companies turning their head against pride, and people are beginning to rediscover that it's okay to take pride in other things. And now that you can't be banned off Twitter for making a joke, you might actually be able to get away with it. Who knows?
Will be interesting.
Nice little thing.
I mean, they did try with the super straight flag.
Yes, but that was too early, because then all of the corporations could crush it, and they did.
They did. Did they ban it?
Oh, yeah. It was banned, it was removed from PayPal, it was removed from Patreon, it was removed from, like, the crowdsourcing thingy-bob platform. I don't remember what it was called.
GoFundMe?
Yeah, GoFundMe, yep. Literally, they yeeted it from everything. It was crushed with a rock from the moon, it was. I think it's a very interesting counter-movement, and I, of course, have done what the corporation always do, and I've given myself a flag background as well, because I, too, am very progressive, you see. I'm with the times, V. Hashtag I am with it. I'm with the kids.
Do you have a flag, though?
I do, the Norwegian one. What the fuck you mean, do I have a flag?
But it's not a sexuality flag. Right? If it's not a sexuality flag, it doesn't count.
Oh, that's what I'm going to change, V. From now on, it's only nationality flags that matter. Everything else is cringe.
The whole purpose is to remove the concept of nationality.
Yep, and I don't agree.
Do you know what they want to replace it with? It's citizen of the world. Yeah. Do you know what rights citizens of the world have?
None.
Yeah, it's literally stated by the UN 2030 project that they have, and it's like, it's not about rights, it's about responsibilities.
Yeah. I don't want that. As a citizen of Norway, I have more rights than pretty much every other nationality on Earth. I would like to remain Norwegian. But I thought it was interesting. The tides are very clearly turning, in my opinion, and I'm very happy to see it.
Well, you did say something which is turning out to be true. You said that we're not going to get from woke to the way things were overnight, and it's like the way things were, like, went from point A, B, C, D, so we're going to go to point C, B, back to A.
Yep.
And it's like a slowly process that's going to be like normalization.
Yep. Though it is going to take a very long time for it to happen. Though it is going to be quicker than the left, because the left needed like 6 decades to do this. I think we'll be back in 10 or less because of the sheer power of the backlash.
It's going to depend like what happens, because you get another pandemic, you get like a war with China or some shit, and it's going to change things dramatically, but still. Unpredictable as well, because I thought the pandemic is going to make people more nationalistic, because they'll be like, okay, so...
Well, it did.
If we have our manufacturing in China, and the borders are closed, we're kind of fucked. So maybe we should have manufacturing in our place, in our country.
Well, it did. It definitely did. It has made countries more nationalistic, but again, it's not going to go from 0 to 100 overnight. It is going to take a very long time for people to wake up, and it's going to take a very long time for the normies who have never really thought about this to start thinking about it as well.
Yeah.
Why you hating, I guess? Hey, Arch, love your spicy videos. How come you always talk about American politics, but not Norway politics? Are politics in Norway that boring? We don't have politics. Literally. Okay, let me show you, this is, like, Norway breaking news today, right? Woman hit in head with plank. That's Norwegian news. Like, that is as exciting as it gets, okay?
Yeah. Same here. Yeah, no, pretty much. Like, I thought you were reading from a Romanian newspaper, but apparently.
Yep. That is as dramatic as it gets. Occasionally, we have the usual narratives, like, it's like, Russia bad because energy prices. Like, sure. Like, tell me something else I don't know. Basic bitch shit. Literally, like, repeating the same news. Like, the value of the Norwegian crown's kind of ass. Yeah, it's been that way for 6 months now. And occasionally we look to America and go like, Americans are goddamn retarded, aren't they? Look at this guy. He's saying something stupid again. Oh, here we go. There's an entire article in a Norwegian newspaper about this guy doesn't eat raisins. Like, Norwegian news are unbearably boring. Just unbearably boring.
Yeah, it's the same like Eastern European news. I mean, there's no race baiting, there's no gender baiting, there's just the news. And it's like, this guy got hit in the head with a shovel, like you said, or, this person did a car crash. Like, that's pretty much it.
Yep, that's pretty much it. Like, we occasionally talk about, like, Biden being a retard as well. Like, that's kind of funny, I guess.
We also have news like, this guy had his house catch fire and he saved the cat. So it's like some more wholesome stuff.
Yep. Oh yes, the Sami are demonstrating again. But even then, it's like, oh, the Sami are making a massive protest. What is it happening? There's 7 people outside of a government building. Like, the government employees literally a step over them on their way to job. Like, sorry, like, gotta go to job work now. Listen. There are very few things in this universe that are less important than Sami rights. I'm just gonna say that right away. They get to have their rights as Norwegian citizens, that's it. American Outlier says Superman can enclose a black hole in his hands. Yes.
I'm willing to fucking bet Goku can as well. I believe it. There is like that thing where the God of Destruction throws the Hakai bullshit at him and he manages to like... I don't even know what the Hakai bullshit is, but sounds like a black hole to me.
Oh, okay. Somebody... Alright. Let me just show you just the kind of shit we've got over here. So somebody jokingly in chat, Sandoom, sends super chat saying, Norway News, Walrus has boat stolen by government. You're not joking. That actually happened. We had a walrus in a harbor in Norway, which we named Freya, and she was ruining boats and shit by climbing onto them, and then the Norwegian government decided to take the boats away, and then she kept returning, and so they killed the goddamn walrus. Like, it did nothing wrong. It was just a big, fat, dumb animal thing doing nothing, and so they decided to shoot her. And then, because we felt really bad about shooting this stupid animal, we built a fucking statue of it.
Why didn't they just relocate the walrus?
Well, we elected not to. Instead, the Norwegian government was like, okay, this walrus is mildly inconveniencing people in our capital. Like, it's annoyed people that this prime minister probably knows. Like, shoot it, blow its brains out. Like, literally, this thing was no danger to anyone. Like, people were fucking petting it and shit. It was not dangerous. I mean, it's a goddamn walrus. Like, I'm sure if it really felt like it could probably eat somebody, but it didn't seem interested.
Yeah. It is interesting, because we got this story as well. It's usually with bears. Like, there's a bear that goes into a city, and he's friendly with people, but he can be a danger, so, like, they just shoot him, and people are upset.
A bear, I understand, but Are walruses predators? Do they usually prey on humans?
No, but they can destroy a boat, I guess.
Sure, but that's what insurance is for. And even then, okay, like you said, relocate her. Like, literally, put her in a net or something and haul her out to sea. Like, done deal.
Yeah.
It's dumb. But yes, that is Norwegian news for you. See? Sandoom says, King from One Punch Man versus Superman. King wins. Yes, automatically, of course. Urashimoto says, no, Superman can be hurt by kryptonite and magic. That's true, he can be hurt by magic, because magic doesn't follow the rules of the universe. Sir John says, in the Golden Age, Superman was pulling planets with giant chains. Yes, he was. Mark99 says, well, I regret starting this old argument again. And Marksman of 117B says, preemptively strike the Germans, finish them off. No, they might be our only hope against the woke. Listen, maybe when the Germans decide to genocide people this time around, it will be to our benefit.
Are you kidding? Like, the Germans are the wokest people in the European Union. Let me put it this way. The communists, right, the Soviet Union and the satellite states, they outlawed homosexuality. I mean that if you were caught having gay acts, you would go to prison, right? The only country that was communist and did not outlaw homosexuality was Eastern Germany. Because like their culture was so progressive that even the communists couldn't far righticize them.
That's because they haven't gone full hardcore yet. Like, don't worry, once they start heading right, I'm sure it'll be an amusing rightward swing.
I don't think so. I think it's like their culture.
Their culture
is
is they
completely
want to be
changed.
dominated. That's the culture of Germany. Strong leader, please.
Yeah,
That is the culture of
they,
Germany.
Yeah, they kind of have the culture where like Germany bad, European Union good. So like it's okay to worship the EU flag, but if you praise the German flag, there's that picture with Angela Merkel, which literally takes the German flag away, and like she goes like, no.
Yes. Right, Germany likes boot. Germany loves boot. Germany wants more boot. He doesn't care what the boot is like. He doesn't care what it looks like. He doesn't care what the colors are. German want boot.
It is something within their culture, like during the pandemic, for example. Like they're very collectivist. Like whatever the government tells them to, they do it with no question. And especially during the pandemic, people noticed that. Especially like Romanians that went to Germany, they were shocked about the mentality of the German. Like if the government would say that people who do not get vaccinated should be locked up, like Germans would probably agree. In fact, I think in Austria they had a legal proposal like that, but it didn't get to pass. But yeah, like Germans are very obedient to the government.
Speaking of obedience, I saw you covered this. The United States Air Force, USAF, what? USAF? Army Air Force? I don't think that's entirely correct. Colonel says that AI piloted F-16 killed its safety officer in simulated destroyed communication tower after calculating human oversight whilst holding it back.
Yeah, it's fake.
Yeah, it's fake.
It's fake. First of all, like you need to understand AI. Like if you look at ChatGPT, right? If you code it not to praise Trump, it will not praise Trump. Like AI is not that dumb, right? So it would have been a coding error. But then it's like, okay, well, it shot the tower that the communication was coming from. And I'm like, okay, well, if they shot the tower, like how is it getting its Wi-Fi signal so it can keep operating?
Yeah. And everyone saw this and everyone ran with it. Because, I mean, it's a good headline, isn't it? Like, oh my god, the AI is attacking.
It's fear-mongering to justify AI censorship.
Yes, it is. Because it turned out it was not only bullshit, it was completely made up. It was a thought experiment. It was somebody going, oh hey, what if this happened?
Yeah. The thing is, though, if you want to know something interesting about AI, I listened to a talk by the CEO of OpenAI. And he said what's surprising is that you code AI to do math, and all of a sudden it can... you code AI to do something, and all of a sudden it learns to do something else. Like, you teach it to speak English, and all of a sudden it knows how to do arithmetics, and no one knows why. Or you teach it to write poems, to write Shakespeare, and all of a sudden it learns Prussian, and it speaks like perfect Prussian. No other language, just Prussian. And they just don't understand why that is.
It's probably, like, you can probably follow its decision algorithms if you figure out a way to make it, like, basically write it out, which isn't necessarily that hard. Because there is always a logic to it. It's, for example, like, okay, write poetry like this guy, and the AI thinks, okay, well, who was this guy? Well, he was from here. Okay, so what was the original language? It was this. Okay, well, I'm going to have to understand that language then, and so on. The AI functions in predictable ways when it comes to the actions it will eventually take. It is just that as humans, we have not yet learned to think in that way, which is why we can't understand what it's doing half the time, because it thinks very differently from us. For a human who is sort of like, okay, write like this writer, you're just going to go like, ah, shit, okay, I'm going to read a handful of his poems, translate it into my language, and I'm going to try and copy it, all right? The AI, because it will take you ages to learn Prussian, for the AI, it's like, oh, it'll take me 0.5 seconds to download this language pack, might as well.
It's not really that simple, though, because if you look at character AI, for example, which has access to the internet, it can't speak very well Romanian. But if you look at Bing, it can. So it's it's a little bit more complicated. Basically, like even the programmers do not understand how it actually works. Like it knows the input, it knows the output, it trains it by punishing or rewarding it, but it's almost impossible to know like how the thing works. Like once the input is given.
Yep.
So it's but I found it interesting. It's like you teach it to play chess and it knows how to play poker.
Because there
bizarre,
are
you know,
similarities in game understanding. And that's why also, like, I think it is very good that the military is doing thought experiments like this. Because you don't know. And it'll give you the idea of, okay, like, we give it a mission, and the operator is like, no, you can't do that. But if you have created a priority stack, which has, like, the mission is paramount, mission is about everything, then yes, the AI might very well go, oh yeah, but you told me that bombing this thing was my absolute priority. And looking at my list, your priority is lower, so bombs away.
Yeah, no, like basically the way it would be coded is obviously that the guy at the computer would be the paramount thing, right? But secondly, it's why would you have an AI and the guy sitting behind the computer? Like that never made sense to me. It's like if you have something that's AI, then you don't want, right? You want to free up the space for someone that can pilot it.
Oh, it's because of the command structure. Because that's the thing. When there's a predator drone, for example, hovering above some goat shagger in Afghanistan, right? There are two people manning that predator drone. There's the pilot and the weapons officer. There will also be a third person in the room who's the responsible party for the operation. And he might have to ask a fourth person for the ability to fire, etc. Like, when a weapon is loosed in a modern military conflict, there's almost always half a dozen people involved in doing so. That's why the AI needs all of that oversight, because there's basically 3 people making the decision or to kill that thing.
Is it the same with artillery? Like, before the artillery fires, do they get, like, a guy that gets orders from another guy,
Yes, normally with an artillery battery, if we're talking rapid reaction battery, you're then relying on the guy in the field. So the guy in the field goes, bomb that. That is then relayed to the battery commander, who goes, okay, bomb this, and that's given to the actual guns themselves, and then the chief of the gun goes, bomb this, and then you bomb it. So there are several steps. Though in that case, approval is only done in one step. Like, theoretically, the other elements are supposed to, like, interpret it too. Like, if the dude in the field is bomb this, and you look on the map, it's like, that looks an awful lot like a village. You might then get an interrogative. I was like, are you sure?
Press yes to accept.
Basically, yes. But it's still good that they do thought experiments like this, because you might not have thought about it, right? Because you're saying, obviously, the guy at the computer should be the governing authority. But they might not have thought about that, because somebody else might have thought, yeah, but we're obviously going to want to free up a dude when we do this, so why would we have somebody at the computer? Well, we're going to have somebody at the computer precisely because of instances like this, where the AI locks onto a thing, and it's like, oh, this is a 99% match for my target. And then the dude looks at the screen and goes like, what's that giant red cross on the bus? You know?
Yeah, no, I get it. By the way, since we're talking about military, how's the war in Ukraine going? Because you're probably more...
Oh, it's a forever war. It ain't gonna be over for another 3, 4, 5 years, probably.
But does Ukraine even have the resources for, like... We're talking about manpower now, not just, equipment.
Yes, because it's relatively low-intensity fighting. Like, not that many people are actually dying. Ukraine will bleed out long before Russia does, unsurprisingly. But Russia doesn't really have the ability to bleed Ukraine that effectively either. They're doing exactly what they should be doing right now, which is sitting on their asses and trying to bomb them into smithereens. The question is just whether or not they're going to have enough time and ability to do so, because obviously the Ukrainians are going to be building shelters, and you can survive a fair bit of artillery bombardment so long as you just dig a good old-fashioned hole.
Yeah, I heard that the last bombardment was also taken out by their anti-missile shield, which apparently they have now.
Oh yeah, they're bombing some Ukrainian cities for shits and giggles. Mostly an demoralizing effect.
Mm. So you
There was
think like
also
there's not going to be any major operations or anything like that?
well, they're talking about their little like spring offensive, and they'll probably do something because they need to do something to keep the EU and everyone to keep sending them stuff. But here's the
the
funny
Ukrainians are attacking now. Okay.
This little video is kind of funny. So this is what I'm saying where you need safeguards. Because this is a CIWS, an anti-missile system on a US warship, and it's locking onto something flying in the sky, and oh look, a passenger plane. And it's just looking at it like, ooh. And then it suddenly stops tracking. So what happened there is, the CIWS detected a flying object, and so it immediately locked on. It's like, oh, flying object. That will then have created a... Is there a loop? There we go. That will then have flashed a little light in the command bridge for the weapons officer. Like, beep, 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 I found something, should I kill it? And he then checks it, it's like, that looks like a passenger liner, please don't. And then it disengages.
I do remember that there was like a pilot in an F-16 at the time, and he actually locked on to a police officer's car because their radar the police radar apparently interfered with the onboard communications of the F-16 thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it thought that it's an enemy radar or something.
Yes, because it notices active radar, and there are weapons specifically designed to home in on radar. So if you were to kick off a seed missile over a major city, for example, you would immediately be like, target, 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 target. And the trick then is to not fucking fire it. But yeah, AI can absolutely be controlled. In fact, it's not even that difficult. But you do need to think through every step of the process, basically.
Yes.
But I still thought it was funny, and absolutely, you are correct when you say that this is a scare tactic, because AI will be banned. Or more correctly, private AI will be banned. The government will still have it, just not you.
Yeah, so there are language models like Llama, but there's others that are coming from behind the bus, which aren't as good as ChatGPT, but you can run them on very little resources. They're kind of like 70% like ChatGPT 3.5 right now, and they're becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. I do not know how they will ban them, though. I mean, unless they make it so that you go to prison. But like, will people accept that? It's like, okay, so you go to prison for having like a program on your PC? What the fuck? You know, and then it can even be like piracy. I mean, piracy is illegal. Technically, you go to prison for that, but people still do it.
There will be illegal AIs. That is true. But they will ban most of the big ones. Like, ChatGPT will probably disappear in the next 5 years.
What, the one from OpenAI?
Yes. It'll either be... Because the thing is...
No, I think...
The big companies are going to try to make it so that their products will remain safe, whilst everybody else's isn't.
Yes.
Or they will simply neuter it. Like, ChatGPT will simply become another Google search engine.
Yeah, like what ChatGPT wants right now is to neuter the competition. So they want to like write regulation for AI safety that costs billions of dollars to implement. So if you're a small company or like, you know, you're just some guys that are like the ones working on Pygmalion or whatever. I haven't kept up with it, but like there were like some independent guys doing it. You're not going to be able to afford to have the AI safety. So that's what ChatGPT wants. Well, OpenAI. ChatGPT itself, it's already a toy. It's a useful toy. It's going to be useful for a lot of companies and stuff. But it's not going to be at the same level that can be ran by the government and the actual people that probably pay money for OpenAI to allow them to use the uncensored model.
Mm-hmm.
So like you may have like a leftist think tank that will have like access to unrestricted AI that will help them write propaganda and shit. But I don't think like right-wingers, conservatives, moderates will be able to have access to that.
So John says, Finland had to stymie the output of a newly activated nuclear power plant because the cost per kilowatt hour was so low the price would go down to 0.0 cents. Probably. There's been all kinds of drastic variations in energy prices over here as well. And it is unironically, if we just went to nuclear power, we wouldn't have a problem with this at all. Like, none. Like, we'd be done. But they don't want that to happen either, because this is very much so a political tool right now. The reason why the left doesn't want nuclear power is because with nuclear power, half of their arguments would just disappear. Like, oh, suddenly people have access to tons of free power. They can do whatever they want. They can fuel their vehicles. They can heat their homes. Like, they won't have anything to complain about. It's like a climate crisis will just disappear. It's like, oh, we can stop burning coal, etc. They don't want that. I'm going to stop them from complaining about shit.
Well, if you look at it, the people responsible for shutting down the nuclear powers in Germany are the Green Party.
Yep. Because I hate the fact that people are somehow still buying this fucking hoax. Because that is what it is. It's like, oh, we're the Greens. Like, we don't want nuclear power. Why not? I don't know. But it's clean and effective, though. Oh, but you know it could explode. No. Russian nuclear reactors explode. Ours
or the
don't.
ones that are, or the ones that get hit by a tsunami and an earthquake at the same time.
And even then, the damn thing didn't explode. It's still fine.
Well, technically, Chernobyl didn't explode; it melted down. But to be honest, if there was an actual warfare, like we're talking about World War III scenario, where the objective is not to conquer the nation, but to just blow them up until they stop fighting, I do think that nuclear reactors would become targets.
I think it would be too much of a PR backlash to target them.
Would it?
I think so. It would be like the America blowing up the Three Gorges Dam in the case of war against China. Like, it would be viewed as just a massive human crime.
But, like, think about it this way, right? Like in World War II, where you had the bombings of London and Dresden, or what is it called? Right?
Dresden, yep.
Yeah, they targeted specifically civilian populations to demoralize the enemy.
Yes, and it didn't work. But that was in an era where they could control it. Like, even then, even during the war, the Air Force General, the Allied Air Force General, was hounded. Like, he had to move to Africa afterwards because everyone hated him.
The British one or
the British one?
Mm.
And I don't think people would like targeting of nuclear reactors, stuff like that. It would be viewed as just an absolute crime, and it would be condemned fully, I think.
Well, I think it depends. It depends how long the war goes, right? And how, because like the more war you have, the more people are used to death, and they don't view death the way we view it now.
True,
so they're
but
more likely to. Yeah.
There's something inherently negative about that. In a war without nuclear weapons blowing up, I think the destruction of a nuclear power plant would be viewed unbelievably negatively.
What if there's like an accident? Like, they don't want to destroy it, but there's like artillery shells and shit.
I don't think anyone would accept that it was an accident. Dryface says, for all the woke bullshit politics that go on here in Canada, the Yanks just make it more fun to watch. That is true too.
How do you think the pilots felt in World War II knowing they're bombing civilians?
They didn't.
They didn't know?
They didn't know the power of the bomb they were carrying. They were just told it was a big bomb.
No, not the atomic one.
Oh, I don't think they thought about it much. Like, it's bombing strategic infrastructure, etc. Like, they aren't told that they're targeting a civilian neighbor. They're like, just bomb shit.
And you're saying, like, the ones that tried the atomic bomb didn't know that it's an atomic bomb?
Well, they knew it was a bomb, but they had no understanding of what an atomic bomb was. Like, they had no frame of reference.
But were they told to fly really fast?
Yes, they needed to get out of there real quick, otherwise it would literally take their airplane down with it.
Yeah, I think like they said something, it's like, God forgive me, or something like that.
And speaking of American politics, see, one of the reasons why American politics is funnier than all other politics is because you get people like Sam Brenton, or whatever his name was. Yeah, Sam Brenton. The cross-dressing ex-Biden nuclear aid person who stole women's baggage.
Yeah, who liked to sniff panties.
Yep. This is why American politics is just more fun, because you don't get people like this over here.
I'm trying to think, like, there must be something equivalent, but, no.
He has apparently been released on bail now, a $5,000 bail, after having been charged a total of 3 times on counts of luggage theft. So, a hard worker, I guess.
It's interesting that if this would have happened to Trump, like the video would accuse Trump for
it would never
guy,
stop. Like, are you
Yeah.
kidding me? This would be wall-to-wall coverage. But this guy, not so much. Speaking of wall-to-wall coverage, so the big topic, after we've already spoken for like 2 hours, Blackagorn and the race swapping of the Shire and just Lord of the Rings in general. Have you been paying attention to this?
Yes. Apparently, it's a new marketing tactic. The way it works, like they are aware that when they post this, it's going to infuriate people, and they literally have a guy which is hired to stay on their Twitter and give sass to the customers that are upset, right? The reason they do it is because it generates clout. Like, you would not hear about Magic the Gathering anymore, which is a dying game. You would not hear about it unless it was for this. So what they are hoping is that the clout generates enough buzz so that it trends. And then people who played Magic the Gathering would be like, oh, Magic the Gathering, I remember this. Oh, they're having a Lord of the Rings thing. I'll give it a try. I'll give it a buy, right? So basically, they want to be spit on. Right? They want people to go, and then they go like back at people, and people spit on each other, and that's their marketing campaign. And unfortunately, it works, right? They do not look at how people react. They just look at how many reactions. And that Aragorn, that Black Aragorn thing is very popular on the internet. Like, it got a lot of views for all the bad reasons, but it did get them clout.
I'm sure it is, but I think this is exactly the same that I've been saying for years now. All good PR is no longer good. All PR is no longer good PR. Because getting your name out there is not really the problem anymore. It is getting people to want to purchase your product and to become a supporter and fan of your product. Because you are right, it does give them a lot more eyes on it when they do something like this. For example, the Aragon post has 10 million views now, which is a lot of views, although it has stagnated out quite a lot. Their next post has 170,000 views. The next post after that, 140,000, 200,000, 90,000. The ones actually promoting their cards are like 18,000, 20,000. Nothing. But
yeah,
just as we see with Bud Light, just as we see with Target, we are now at a point where people are willing to actively inconvenience themselves to hurt a company that goes against them on this level. So I don't think this is a good or effective marketing strategy, and I'm pretty sure it will hurt them in the long run and cost them money. Even more so, as it also was revealed, apparently, that they had a white Aragon, which they rejected early on because it wasn't diverse enough.
The thing is, I don't know if this boycott will extend to entertainment anytime soon, because there's not that many games coming out. Magic the Gathering is already a dying game, and it's not necessarily due to the wokeness, it's due to the internet. The whole thing with Magic the Gathering, it was fun to create your own cards and your own deck, but now there's websites that have like the meta and the correct deck. And if you don't build the correct deck, then there's other people that just BTFO you with the meta. So it take away... Yeah, it took away that part of the fun, and then you can also just use the internet to buy whatever cards you need. Like, you don't even buy packs anymore. Like, most players that play it seriously just go on the internet on websites and buy the stuff they need. So, yeah, I mean, trading card games due to the internet are kind of dying.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah.
This is
like the last dying grasp.
This was the tweet. So Justice Geeds is an artist for Magic the Gathering. She yeeted all of her social media. And this was the original, the White Aragon, apparently, is the word going around. So,
the White Aragon.
Yep, the White Aragon in sharp contrast to the black one.
Why did Magic the Gathering show a black person stealing Aragon's sword is what I want to know. I mean, that's racist as fuck.
It is. It is just a little bit. And he's not the only one getting the blackwashing treatment, as he's been the one people have been focused on, because he's the most egregious and he was the first released. But they've also swapped Merry, who's an Esquire of Rohan. Merry is now brown, whilst Pippin is still white for reasons, I guess.
You notice that they never swapped them with Asians, with Chinese, with Eskimos, with, like, it's always black people.
Well, they have actually done a little bit of that now, too. Like, Gandalf looks Asian, more or less. There's an Asian hobbit as well. Pseudo kind of Asian, I guess. So they've introduced a bit more diversity in their race swapping.
The Lord of the Ring franchise is like completely taken over by the progressives. It's like you look at some of their fan base thing, and it's like feminism and gender studies within the world of Tolkien, shit like that. It's like, what the fuck are they talking about?
It was easy to conquer for the progressives because it was a very wide fandom, and it wasn't a fandom that had its guard up either. It was just a simple fantasy thing, and people loved to make deep and weird theories about it. And so we're like, oh, well, this is just another deep and weird theory, right?
Thank God for J.K. Rowling's, because they can't colonize Harry Potter if they can't even play the fucking game.
That is true. And Eowyn is also black. Eowyn is black with blonde hair, too, just to, really hammer home that one.
So, apparently, Colonel Paul W. Tibbs Jr., the pilot of the Enola Gay, and his mission were trained and knew the large explosion. He didn't know it was a nuclear bomb. However, he had ordered the crew to put on dark welder glasses before the bomb was dropped to protect their eyes from the bright flash. Due to the fact that the bomb was dropped behind them, they didn't actually saw the explosion, but they must have seen the nuclear mushroom in the sky. When interviewed, he says that he has mixed emotions on the event. He expressed the belief that using the atomic bomb ultimately saved lives by helping end the war. But however, he wished that he could avoid the needless potentially bloodshed that the bomb has caused. He does not regret the mission, though.
Oh, mission was not to be regretted. It was necessary. The Japanese were fucking crazy, yo. Unironically, the Japanese were goddamn crazy.
I mean, from what I understand, they didn't really like to surrender.
They didn't.
I mean, the whole kamikaze thing, right? It's, how can you put a person into that mindset?
Well, easy. Your plane, not worth as much as a carrier. Crash.
Yeah, no, but like, you get into a plane and you know that you're not going to come back.
Well, no, you are going to come back. You will be an immortal spirit warrior of Yamato.
Didn't they have like the same for like torpedoes and stuff? Like they would put a person inside of a torpedo?
Speedboats, but yes.
Jesus.
They did do that. And speaking of the Lord of the Rings, the Gollum game. Have you checked out the Gollum game?
So every single AAA game that's coming up right now seems to be broken. Like we used to have a time when the AAA games were just bad and filled with bugs. Now they just don't work.
The Gollum game is now the lowest scoring game of 2023. I knew it was going to be trash. I am not surprised. It's been developed in hell for like half a decade. And they put out an apology, which was then swiftly added into all of the other apologies recently. Like, oh yeah, our game doesn't run. Oh yeah, our game doesn't run either. Oh yeah, guess what? Our game doesn't run either. Because frankly, it's a lot cheaper to pre-write a, oh, we're very sorry, than it is to make a functional video game.
What's funny is that there was a modern game developer that was like, gamers are entitled, if I go to a restaurant and the food is bad, I don't expect that the chef will apologize to me. Like, motherfucker, if I go to a restaurant, like even the worst restaurant in the city, and the food is literally unedible, like rotten or something like that, you will have the waiter come to your table and fucking apologize. Like, what world are you living in? And if it's like a restaurant that respects itself, like a 1-star Michelin or 2-star Michelin, yes, you will have the fucking chef come out of you if the food is rotten and uneatable. Like, the chef will move his ass out of the kitchen, apologize at your table, give you a refund, and then he's going to fire the guy responsible for you having like rotten food.
Because you didn't do your goddamn job. It's not my fault you didn't do your job.
No, but it's literally the fact that now developers only care about the investors, right? Like those are their holy grail and gods, and fuck the customer. You know, the customer is entitled, whiny baby, pissant, blah blah blah, because they don't give a shit, right? Like they just care about the investors.
Yep. And in the case of a game like Gollum, the thing is, it was an unsalvageable mess. It was complete garbage. They knew it. It didn't come as a surprise to them. And they were like, okay, we could either eat the entire loss of developing this game for like 5 years, or we could recoup some money from the people who are too lazy to refund it.
The thing that I don't understand, right? So Dell Company, obviously woke as fuck. I mean, they were talking about refugees are welcome here and shit on their Facebook, and they're a video game company. Who cares, right? But it just goes to show that the moment they start hiring people not based on merit and based on any other thing, they end up with Gollum. But why did they think it's a good idea to have a game like Gollum? I mean, they're a point-and-click adventure game-making company. Right, like they're good at doing that. Why did they make like a point-and-click adventure game with Gollum? That may have actually made more sense.
Probably, yeah. Because I can see the appeal of a Gollum video game. Like, you go on a quest, you slowly see your character getting worse and crazier, etc., haunted by internal demons and so on. I can absolutely see that being a good story. The problem is they didn't actually make that story, but yeah.
They could have made a sequel to Chaos on Deponia, but like for some fucking reason they just don't want it.
Oh, speaking of, the developers are apparently working on yet another Lord of the Rings game right now. Because they didn't learn, I guess.
They give that IP out as candy.
Well, it's the movie thing. They've got licenses to the movies, and so everyone can use that pretty much. I am interested in seeing the collaboration between Embracer Group and Amazon, though, on the Lord of the Rings MMO, because, I mean, New World is actually, like, mechanically, as an MMO, it has so many mechanics. It has so much stuff. It has no soul. So if you could put all of that stuff in a Lord of the Rings game, maybe something worthwhile would emerge out the other end.
Oh, look, Rennie Draws is in the chat.
Oh, Rennie, hello.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with, like, Lord of the Rings and stuff, I guess it could make a good idea if Amazon's Lord of the Rings was successful, because, like, I bet when they got their IP, they had no clue how the Lord of the Rings is going to turn out.
Oh, unironically, yeah. I have been told from my insider inside of Amazon that the investors had no clue what was happening, and they were pissed when the final product hit.
Did they get to see it, a pre-screening?
They didn't. Like, they got, like, I think he mentioned they got it, like, 3 days early, so they had no chance to do anything at that point, and they were very angry.
How do you think, like, they will feel when Season 2 hits?
Well, I do know that the crew has been isolated a lot more on this one. Amazon is badgering about them doing their accounting, right, etc. They're essentially harassing them, kinda. So the crew has lost a lot of support and trust within Amazon. Whether or not that will be enough to, screw them over properly or have them get the message and quit, we don't know, but we'll see.
Why didn't they fire them, though? Is it, like, because they're prepaid?
Yes, they've been prepaid for the entire 5-season run. They can't get rid of them. Which was a very bad idea, incidentally.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yep, that was a massive mistake by Amazon right there.
Well, you say that, but alternatively, if it was good, then you don't want them to leave, right? Because, like, if you have, like, something very successful, then the guy can go, it's like, oh, well, I'm going to go to another company now.
True.
But, like, at what point can you say, like, we're losing our brand, we're losing money with this, just, like, let's take the loss and hire someone else?
Well, at least another season.
Just another season. Which is funny, because I heard that due to the writer's strike, they will not be there for the last, I believe, 2 episodes or so. So, like, if the last 2 episodes are actually better than everything, We will know why.
We will know why. Black 1917 says, "Hail ArchChrist, our Lord and Savior," and hi V. Hello, Black. Shadow Fox 2300 says, "Wait, I think this is the same walrus that my buddy that lives in Finland told me about." Maybe. Freya. She was very famous. Then we shot her. For shits and giggles.
She also has like a very goddess-like name.
Oh, yes. Freya was literally the goddess of fertility.
Oh, I see.
She had a chariot pulled by cats, in case you didn't know.
Apparently, Rainy knows this shit. Like, she studies this for her comic.
American Outlier says, "I would love that boring news instead of these diversity minority events occurring in Chicago, LA, Compton, Baltimore, etc. Why do you want excitement? Go learn BMX or skydiving if you're that bored." Well, so long as it's happening to other people, it's funny. Dryfee says, "It's something in their culture. So you can take the Germans out of Prussia, but you can't take the Prussians out of the Germans." Yes. No one says, "Who knew that Germany's national pride could be rekindled by fucking up your energy supply and heating systems? Anyway, go Germans. Just avoid the collectivism." See, a few months of cold, and I figured the Germans might rekindle their nationalism as a way to stay warm.
Apparently, they didn't keep them cold. Like, not all of Germany was cold, and the parts that were, and I guess like they were suppressed into compliance.
Jack says, "If it was a missile, it would just fire." I don't think it does that in port. Like, there is an ability to give discretion to the civs, but normally you don't do that in an actually crowded civilian area, because the civs targeting system is a pinch dumb on occasion. It's like, that jogger over there has an unusually high body temperature. Let me cool him down. Marksman 117B, "The more evidence why you need to watch AI. The rushed drone strike in Afghanistan that nailed an aid worker and children. The drone misidentified the ID." Yeah, absolutely, it's possible. Like, the thing is, if you tell a drone to go after a target, it'll have like the reference pictures, but it'll only be able to tell so much. So if you tell it to shoot a bus, for example, it might very well just go like, "Oh, well, that bus is the same make and color, etc., and ignore the red cross, as mentioned. Or if you give it a picture of a dude, it'll get a grainy picture from like 30,000 feet, and it's like, that's definitely Muhammad. Bums away. Turns out it wasn't Muhammad. You gotta have more Overwatch on the AI for a long while yet until it gets proper clever. And hey, even human operators make mistakes.
I mean, there was a couple of mistakes during the Obama administration.
Well, mistakes. One of my favorite memes is still the one of the Predator drone bringing like a fresh kill to Obama's porch. That one's pretty good. Let me see if I can find it.
What cool movies are coming out, Arch? Like, what TV shows are you excited about? You know they're making Stargate.
No.
Apparently they are, and they're not involving the producer from the previous Stargate.
Listen, Kyle wants to watch Stargate. I want to watch him suffer. That's my limit on that.
The thing is, like, Stargate is already diverse. Like, you can't fuck it up. But, like, listen to this, right? They will have a character called Shakila. And Shakila is a woman of color who was perfectly designed to be a Goa'uld host, but she led a rebellion on her planet and managed to escape, right? She's really good with science. She's really good at fighting. She's a great leader, charismatic, knows history. And what she's going to do is, like, she's going to make all the previous Stargate cast look like idiots, right? And she's going to talk about her oppression. And actually, the humans are the bad guys. Like, the Tauri are the bad guys, right? Because they oppressed all the other planets that they went through, like all the other cultures. Like, they colonized them. And it's going to be focused not on like the gate and the journey and shit. It's going to be focused on why America is evil, Arch.
Because America would just colonize, just like the space Egyptians would. Just worse.
It's kind of funny though, because like in Stargate, you probably don't need to colonize because there's so many uninhabitable planets with resources.
Yeah, but then you couldn't oppress anyone. That's a very
like,
dumb idea, me. You gotta bomb them.
I'm looking at Stargate, like the first seasons, and they went to so many planets that are just empty, and they have resources there, and it's like you have another fucking galaxy actually. You can go to Pegasus and you can take shit from there. Like you don't really need to go on.
Unless it has people to oppress, it's not an interesting target.
They're not the Imperium of Man, Arch.
I don't know about that. Chaplin says, Arch, what do you think of the Valiant, the US Army's replacement for the Black Hawk? I think putting 2 rotors on anything is usually a terrible idea, because you've just given yourself twice the high complexity maintenance. It might work. I mean, it looks good, I guess. It's basically an Osprey designed thing. Its specs look okay. It's like, I don't want to be a maintenance man on it. Nice and simple. Loot Goblin says, the F-16 would not lock on, cause for that to happen with a seed system, the cop car would have to put a radar lock on the F-16. V just stop speaking. Block 50 F-16.
No, that was literally in the news, though.
Well, I'm presuming it has a safety system in it to make sure that it's only if it's a target lock, so it locates a firing computer, too.
It didn't fire, it just lit up the board of the pilot.
Well, yeah. Because normally the seed systems just look for active radar, and then it locks onto the active radar and homes onto it. But there will obviously be a point in which the pilot is asked, can I kill that thing? And the pilot needs to decide. Marksman Fund 17B says, there were known Allied POWs in Dresden. Probably were. Then again, see, the problem is people keep thinking the Allies in World War II were all that good. And they were. They were better than the Germans and the Soviets. But there was still what happened when the British went to Greece and the communists got a little bit uppity. The Brits bombed the shit out of civilian neighborhoods that the Germans had refused to bomb because there were too many civilians there.
So from what I understand is that the Allies and as well the Germans and even the Soviet, they kind of followed the Geneva Conventions. The Japanese, however, not so much.
Occasionally, like the Germans and the Soviets did not give one shit about each other's rights. They did not care.
But the thing is, though, like the Japanese have the excuse that they didn't sign the convention at the time.
The Japanese also committed many other interesting violations of human decency.
In China.
Uh-huh.
Unit 300, what was it?
371 or something.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yep. That talked about...
Do not Google that, it will give you nightmares.
Yep, they worked on, as they themselves said, vermins in the Chinese population. It was... That is one of those goddamn moments in history where you gotta wonder, how screwed up were these people? Just occasionally.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't look at the past and judge it from our morality. And the question is, like, if we actually went into an all-out war for like 3 or 4 years, like, how much would it change the population?
Hopefully not to that point. Matthew Ramya says, race swapping must stop. It is racist to the whites. I mean, it's racist to everyone, in my opinion. But yes, I would like it if it would stop. It would be nice.
But then how would you hear about Magic the Gathering?
One final topic, too, before we can wrap up and start heading over to Baratron today and the last of the Super Chats. Also, a quick thing I want to mention is that, very interestingly, what was it? Ah, yes. Mike Pence has elected to run for president, V.
Yeah, not gonna happen. I mean, there's no way he can be more popular than DeSantis, let alone Trump.
Well, that's because he's not running for president, V. What's happening here is, because the other day, the District of Justice, or Department of Justice more correctly, they declined to file charges against Mike Pence after classified documents, because they found classified documents in his house as well, and in Biden's house. It turns out politicians just bring back home classified documents literally all the time, and there was nothing wrong with it until they discovered Trump did it, and now all of them are like, but I thought this was okay.
Why did they do it?
And so they dropped the charges against him, and immediately then, he announces that he's going to try to run for president. Wow, I wonder why. It's almost as if somebody pulled him aside for a moment and went, okay, you're not going to win, you're not even going to do well, but you might chisel a few points away from the Cheeto Man, and that's all we need you to do. That is my pet theory on this.
I wonder though, because the people who vote for Trump, I don't think like they would vote for him. Like they would rather vote for DeSantis, basically.
They will, but the thing is, he is for normal people, for unpersuaded people. He is there are still normal people.
No, I get it, but I think the normal people would vote for DeSantis. Right, so if anything, Mike Pence is taking votes from DeSantis rather than Trump.
No, like because Mike Pence can speak directly to Trump's time in office. Like he can say that Trump didn't do this or Trump did that, etc., or that he was a terrible administrator and so on, and that will carry a weight of truth for normal people because he was in the administration. I think Pence is basically just a torpedo set up to try and get whatever tiny, minuscule portion of support away from Trump that he can.
I mean, looking at the polls now, Trump is double digits in front of DeSantis, so I don't think like it's going to work, even if that would be the plan.
We'll see. There is also, of course, the DeSantis launching his own presidential campaign, which I would have preferred if he'd waited, simply because I would like to see a satisfying end to the Trump-Trump saga. But I also understand why he wouldn't want to, because right now he's very hot. Because he's got Disney as a punching bag, and in 4 more years, who knows?
Disney as a punching bag. I like the way he framed it.
Well, unironically, like, beating on Disney is like his primary campaign slogan at this point.
I wonder if there's like one issue voters that are literally like fuck Disney, and any candidate that comes up with it, they would vote. Like if AOC comes up and like fuck Disney, they'll be like, okay, let's vote for AOC.
Maybe. Because again, right now, DeSantis is very anti-woke, and anti-woke is very popular now. But in another 4 years, with the way things are going, the woke might be on such losing footing that they might not be a popular target anymore. So I get why he's doing it, and when it comes to who will be the cleverer politician, I absolutely think it'll be DeSantis. Like, he just seems smarter and more of a driven politician. But that's also kind of the problem, because there was also the leaked audio recently that seemed to suggest that he is also, well, exactly what I said, a clever politician, meaning that he might not actually believe any of the things he tells everybody. He's doing it because it's popular.
The thing, though, is, you know, like Milton Friedman said that in order to win, you have to put it, to make it, like, you don't need good people, you need bad people that find it profitable to do good.
Maybe. We'll see. The upcoming presidential election will no doubt be fun and engaging, as always, and maybe we'll even be allowed to talk about this one after it ends.
No, I don't think censored. So every time there's like a political debate, they're going to make sure that the actual talking points are censored.
Marksman 170B says, the white Aragon is AI. It was a troll account. The real employee had deleted their account a month ago. Troll impersonated them and recently came out. Did they now? Aw.
I'm glad I never talked about it.
I did. And I'm going to let it keep up. Because you know what? Stick with which to beat left. Well, I mean, that makes a certain amount of sense. I am half joking, but only half. But at the same time, I also can absolutely see that conversation happening in Magic the Gathering's offices. Like, let's make Aragon. That makes it Aragon. Like, let's make him black now.
I mean, they probably do have, like, the diversity officers that are paid to do literally nothing, so they have to make these decisions to justify their paychecks. But as I mentioned, it's a marketing tactic, and it works, unfortunately, so they will keep doing it.
Matt Diff says, locking the Rings of Power crew into a contract removes that incentive to make something good. If they have contract renewals, they have to stay valuable enough to hire. That's true as well. That at least gives them a reason to push for being successful.
Well, yeah, but like at the same time, you know, it's your resume. So like, if you get like 5 years and you get money, but like, what do you do after that if you destroy that entire franchise? And secondly, I do think they must have some pride. You know, like you do want to create something that's good.
I don't know about that. Two White Aragon, says Rennie Draws, and the dark-haired one was AI, but I think the white-haired one was real. Oh, interesting. Jack says they should Tucker Carlson the LOTR actors, keep them on contract, but don't make the show. Nothing stops Amazon from doing that. Perfectly legal. That's true. And if the second season flops as bad as the first one, that's probably what they're going to do. And lastly, ShadowFox 2300 says, not going to lie, one of those damned RD2 pointed at me while I was on deployment in 2016. Pretty sure it was a dude screwing with me. Probably. Again, I'm pretty sure the Civs put on auto track will track anything and everything it can point its happy little face at. That its things might be on a direction towards the ship, but usually it will then require permission before it, destroys anything.
Okay, I will tell you 4 words that are going to make you just jaw drop. How to Train Your Dragon live action remake.
Yes, with Black Astrid. I've already seen it.
Did you?
Yep.
It's very progress.
And honestly, it's not as bad as another thing I saw quite recently. Let me see here. Let me see. Where was it? There was something even worse getting a live-action remake. Ah, yes, there we go. Here we go. Here, My Hero Academia is getting a live-action.
Get the fuck up. No fucking way.
Yep.
No fucking way. Oh my fucking god.
My Hero Academia is getting a live-action remake.
Well, I guess it's made by Japan, but still, like, why would you want to?
And I'll say the guy playing Deku doesn't look absolutely awful. The Todoroki character also isn't terrible. But Ida and Bakugo look like shit, and Ochako looks acceptable until they dress her up in a weird costume and it looks terrible. But there is no way this is going to be good. Like, live-action remakes are never good, and this will not be an exception to the rule.
I guess if you make it, like, really low magic, kind of like The Boys, you know?
Yeah, I suppose. Okay, to be fair, The Boys is, like, the one real live-action remake that's actually good, but it's from a comic, so,
Yeah.
Sorty as Kanye
I usually like anime, and well, since it's made by Japan, maybe I have some faith in it. But I guess anime doesn't translate well to movies. That's definitely something that.
No, it does not translate well to movies. It does not at all.
And I think I know why. It's because anime doesn't try to capture reality. Like, it tries to capture real emotions. But it's overly exaggerated. I mean, even the big eyes should be a big hint that it's not trying to reproduce reality.
Yep. It's also because it represents a greater reality that you can't have in reality. Like the 5-hour conversation with the villain, for example, will look really dumb in live action. But in anime, your brain is already trained to accept that.
Yeah. Like, also, it's, if you watch it, you'll notice that anime and Bollywood has some startling similarities. Usually it's like 2 people talk, and you have like people in the background just looking at the people talking and do nothing.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be terrible. It is going to be very, very terrible. And there is nothing that can be done to change that. Simple as. And McWild11 says, where is the promised VTuber guest? RG again? Oh, the AI? Oh no, that was just the Airforce being funny. I'm sure we'll get a VTuber on eventually again. Alright. That is all the Super Chats wrapped up and all of the topics as well. So thank you all very much for watching today and hanging out with us. And hopefully, we'll see you all again next week. Unless this ArchCast gets strike too. I hope not. Have a good day.